Okay, we are live, but we got to let it breathe here just for a moment while we bring on Facebook and these new peoples we've been talking to over on Instagram, trying to get them involved in the conversation every night. And it looks like we are good. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, as always, my fellow football priest. Do you know him? You love him, Zack Kelberman. Zack, after languishing on the free agent market for many, many months, in fact, the entirety of the offseason,
Yeah.
Justin Simmons, longtime Broncos Pro Bowler, he finally has a new NFL home. Break it down.
Yeah, all these days later, he put pen to paper. He only took 2 visits in free agency, the Saints last week and the Falcons earlier this week, and he put pen to paper with the Falcons. 1 year, $8 million deal. It's nearly half as much as he was making in base salary, Chad, the last couple seasons in Denver. So, again, he might have overestimated his market value, or the safety market's weird, but it's a nice addition for Atlanta, who seems to be going all in. We don't have Scott here tonight to kind of co-sign this statement, but the Kirk Cousins acquisition, they traded for Matt Judon from the Patriots yesterday, not picking up Simmons. That defense could be feisty. They have another great safety there, Jesse Bates. I like this pickup for Atlanta, and I do wish Simmons well. I wish that he would have a winning season for the first time in his career, except on November 17th when the Falcons come to Denver to take on the Broncos.
Technically, by the letter of the law, he has
One season.
experienced one winning season. Did it go to the playoffs? No, that was the last plus 500 season for what it's worth, Zach. The Broncos turned in, and that was with the
The
main
Simeon year.
bones of Super Bowl 50 squad minus Payton, basically, still intact. But happy to see Simmons finally find some a place to hang his hat, let's say.
Yeah.
The Papa Bear jumping in early. What's up, big dog? So good to see you. Look, we're twinners today, you and I, David. He says, good evening, Broncos country. Chad, Zach, Deacon, Scott. God bless the USA. This is his hashtag game. He keeps it strong. 12-5. Bo QB1. Wilson QB2. Okay, so he's making a point here. Stidham practice squad. MHH for life. Broncos for life. Buckham ×3. Well, it's gone, Zach, from being like, oh, Stidham's the guy to after that first preseason game. It's kind of like, eh. But in case you missed it, David, today, Jarrett Stidham, Bo Nix got the majority of the first team reps because he's getting the start. But Stidham did get a few bites at the apple, so he's still getting a chance to battle.
We have people out there like Mike Kliss, who I really respect. I know you do as well, Chad. He
It's
said that
almost
we
like
should.
he's like pushing for Stidham.
Yeah, he said pump the brakes today on Bo Nix for QB1, but you can't put the cork back in the wine bottle. And anyone who saw Sean Payton's interview with Kay Adams yesterday, he all but admitted, Chad, that Bo Nix is going to be a starter. He can't contain his happiness when talking about him, and Kay Adams pushed him to a point where he didn't deny it either. So it's the only question right now is who's going to be backing up Bo Nix. And David, the momentum is certainly trending towards Zach Wilson. I've been a hater of his the last couple months. I fully own that, but he looked better in preseason game 1. And even Sean Payton talked about that. I wrote an article for the website today that Sean Payton kind of dissected Zach Wilson's first game action with the Broncos. He said he looked really good, really comfortable, and he likes what he sees so far. So I think if it ended right now, it would be Bo number 1 and Zach number 2. And I don't think Jarrett Stidham on the practice squad, though, Chad.
Hey, check this out, dude. It's Paul Jackson. He's rocking old school MHH dad hat. You see this? Good to see you, big dog. He says, evening Broncos country, $10 for number 10. Love to see it. As you know, Paul, we're very, very grateful for the super chat support. It really does mean the world to us. So thank you, big dog. It's really good to see you in the chat. Hope you're doing well, my friend. We also have Sam Bam representing, very generous super chat.
Thank you, Sam.
What's up, brother? He says, hi, guys. I'm glad Simmons finally signed. I hope he does well in Atlanta. Also, 9 days till my fantasy draft, 21 days till the NFL opener, and 24 days till the Broncos' first regular season game. It's football season. Go Broncos. Yeah, so fantasy football, Zach, it's about to get back into full effect.
Yeah, we have the MHH Fantasy League being reactivated for another year. Boise Man is the commissioner, so I'll put a loose call to action right now. I appreciate you, Sam. Anyone who wants in this year's league, let me know. I'll try to get you in, but I'm so freaking happy it's football season, Chad. Week 1 against the Seahawks, that revenge game from a couple years ago, the Russell Wilson disaster cannot come soon enough. And then we have the following week, creeping around the corner, the MHH meet and greet version 4.0, looking to go 4-0 this time around against Russ.
So reach out to Zach on Twitter. Probably the best thing, Zach, or
yes,
what?
Sir.
Okay. If you're interested in the MHH Fantasy League and whatnot, but it's interesting you bring up, of course, Russ week 2. He's going to actually play this weekend for the Steelers. So it'll be interesting to see how he looks, Zach, in his new football environs.
If he does, I read that he has to be cleared from that. I think it was a calf injury, but yeah, signs are pointing to him getting some game action. And the Steelers need him because Fields did not look good at quarterback in preseason game 1. So much so that they have him catching passes at wide receiver. So they're a problem, not ours.
Hey, James Moss, what's going on, big dog? Thank you for the super chat. Very nice to see you. We'll keep an eye out if you have any specific topics or questions. We'll keep an eye out in the chat for you. Thank you, big dog. We've got Jasmine, one of the great ladies of the MHH community, checking in. Appreciate you, my friend. She says the Falcons are going to be legit this year, and it's kind of bittersweet, right? Because you're still sad to see Simmons go, but you're happy to see him finally find a contract somewhere. But what do you think, Zach? Do you think the Falcons are going to be a force to be reckoned with?
You put it best the other day when you talked about Kirk Cousins. He's such a good regular season quarterback, and he'll get you 10, 11, 12 wins. But when he gets to the playoffs, he kind of melts down a la Dak Prescott. But on paper, Jasmine, I tend to agree. It looks like they're going all in. The offense, Kirk Cousins, I mean, they drafted Penix, but you have Bijan there. Speaking of fantasy football, Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. On defense, you added Judon. You have Jesse Bates and now Simmons at safety. So I think on paper, they're definitely a playoff contender and should push for that division in the South. Outside
of the Penix pick, they're pushing all the buttons that you push to try to compete in the now. So interesting. The Duchess jumping in. What's up, Michaela? So good to see you. Rocking her blue Bo Nix jersey. Looks sharp. Looks dope. And she's saying good luck to Justin Simmons. I still love him. I do too, for what it's worth. Like, there was times, honestly, it was pre-Fangio. And this is how long Zach and I have been together. But it was pre-Fangio. You know, he was Justin almost Simmons. That's what we called him. Zach and I would laugh. Those of you who are OG podcast listeners here of MHH, you can recall that. But it was said with love, because we also knew how good he was and what his potential was. I mean, that last year that VJ was head coach, Justin Simmons was called upon to start at every single position in the defensive backfield. Like, he was being asked to do a lot, and he was still a young player. Then Vic comes along, and he goes from kind of obviously talented guy, win some, lose some, but kind of a Band-Aid, to like, boom, all Pro Bowler. And from there, he became perennial. It's just unfortunate, Zach, it never translated to team success. Not that you would expect a safety single-handedly to do that, but Justin Simmons, I love him too. Good luck to him. And also, we got the GLP jumping in. What's up, big dog? Great to see Gary, one of our longest tenured members of the community. And Zach and I can confirm from experience that this man goes hard. All right. He walks the walk. He'll talk the talk and follow that up by walking the walk. That's the GLP, Zach.
Yeah, hopefully Gary's out there for the meet and greet in a few weeks. And last thing about Simmons I'll say for now is that I've been hard on him, Chad. We can talk about almost Simmons. Well, I always said he's not the world's best safety. He's not Steve Atwater reincarnated, but he was still everything you could have asked for in a player, in the locker room, on the field, in the community. I mean, he was still immensely talented. He still is immensely talented. And I wish him well out there in Atlanta. Again, though, except in week 11.
Guys, lots more to get to tonight, including more super chats, more questions, more comments. We're going to get to it here shortly. But first, a quick word from Mint Mobile, because here's the Trufus. All right. My name's Rufus. This the Trufus. Big wireless providers. It's what you see on that bill, or what they tell you in the store. It's never what you see on the bill. What you see is never what you get. Somewhere between that store and your first month's bill, the price that you thought you were paying, it kind of magically skyrockets. But with Mint Mobile, You'll never have to worry about those gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. So say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages.
To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/huddle. That's mintmobile.com/huddle. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/huddle. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
We'll drop the link in the chat, so it's just easy if you guys want to capitalize on that. But Mint Mobile, man, they're changing the game. They're awesome. Love them. Look, we got the Ronk checking in. What's up, Mike? The Ronk, as he is known in these parts, saying, Bo, leave. God bless Bo Nix and go Broncos is my new catchphrase. Hey, I signed off on it. Graham wants to know, did you guys catch, did you notice Kay Adams pointing out Sean Payton's reaction to some Knicks question, and then Payton acknowledged he doesn't have a good poker face? Zach, I'm going to be transparent. I haven't watched it yet. So you have. What's your answer for Graham?
It's very obvious, and Sean Payton doesn't take too kindly to media members, but when Kay Adams shows up to Broncos Park, Chad, he's a little sweeter, his exterior. But yeah, I mean, he couldn't hide his preference, I should say, for Bo Nix. Every time he talked about him, you can tell his face was lighting up. And, for anyone who's watched closely his press conferences, it's been more of the same. He's always lit up when he talked about Bo Nix. He's always gushed about him. It's why he drafted him 12 overall. Not too much of a surprise.
Indeed. There you have it, Graham. I'm trying to find this comment from Justin in the chat. I see it on Facebook. There it is. Oh, no, that's not it. So I'm just going to read it, but it's our boy here, Justin Massey. What's up, big dog? Zach, he says,
awesome.
Well, that's not actually what he's asking. He wants to know, who do you guys think with some 200 stars will be the next cut or release? Who do you think, Zach?
Man, could be one of the quarterbacks, depending on the loser, though they might keep 3. I think they're going to trim a receiver that Sean Payton talked about, that some other receivers that are on the team now will be playing for other teams very soon. Can't keep them all. Or running back. I mean, someone has to go there. And for my money, I think it could be Samaje Perine, the odd man out. Did not look good against the Colts. They have other running backs that can do what he does. So I'm going to go either receiver or running back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you're going to get any big, huge shocker cuts up until the final release time. But, there's people wondering, does Troy Franklin fit in? But here's the thing. It's not just Zach that Carl Dumler wrote about this today. In fact, it was a really good article writing about, 5 Broncos in need of a big week. And he, of course, included Troy Franklin, but I'm just going to quote him real quick here, Zach. He said, did Carl, quote, Broncos invested a lot into Franklin, trading 3 late-round picks to secure him at the top of the 4th round this past draft. So, it's more than just a 4th-round pick. He has shown some stuff, right? He's caught a few bombs in training camp and a few things. He's also gotten blown up a lot by the coaches, was basically a complete non-factor in preseason game 1. Where do you stand on Troy Franklin in terms of what you think his 24 outlook is?
I'm not calling out Carl or anybody else, but it's so premature to even speculate about Troy Franklin's future in Denver. I mean, you traded up in the 4th round, but you had him as a 2nd-round talent, Chad. And even today, he responded with a good practice. He shook free and caught a touchdown pass from Zach Wilson. So he's consistently getting better. Something Sean Payton talked about is that his speed is noticeable on film. You can tell that he has all the traits, but giving up on him or questioning his future after a handful of training camp practices and 1 preseason game, I just think it's a little silly. He's not going to get cut. I think he will make the team. He might not be an ace contributor right out of the gates, but his talent is immeasurable, and his chemistry with Bo Nix, Chad, is undeniable.
Phil McLaughlin jumping in. What's up, big dog? Great to see you on Facebook tonight. He says, what's the story on the new defensive back, Hayes? Also, give me 2 players that could be Pro Bowlers this year. Buckham, MHH for life, Broncos for life. Zach, I'll let you explain the Hayes that you had the story for us at milehighhuddle.com.
I'm going to have to pull that story back up, Chad, because I already kind of forgot
Moved on, baby.
the skinny. I have it right here, though. So
some of these fringe roster moves, especially this time of year, forgive us, guys, like they're in and out. Like we ride them and we move on because literally like a week from now, it's probably a story saying he's been waived. So.
I was going to say he's not going to be here for long, but yeah, they claimed Caleb Hayes off waivers from the Giants. This was earlier this week. They waived Alec Mock in a corresponding move. They re-signed Mock since then. Chad, I think you wrote that story. Yep. He was undrafted. Hayes was in 2023. He spent his rookie year on the Giants practice squad, and he was cut on Sunday. 6'5", 195. He played college ball at Oregon State and Brigham Young. 27 PBUs across 42 college appearances. That is the new defensive back, Caleb Hayes.
All right, who could be Pro Bowlers? The obvious guys first. Let's throw out. The guys who have been Pro Bowlers. Cortland, and it's a short list. Okay, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims. Okay, so they're candidates.
There's an easy one.
Go ahead.
Quinn Miners. Should have made it last
year. That was the next thing I was going to say. Yeah. But I would actually throw in, believe it or not, I would throw in Bo Nix. Ooh. If Bo Nix pops, okay, if Bo Nix has even what I would call like a average to good Bo Nix caliber season, I could actually see Greg Dulcich, if he stays healthy, having a Pro Bowl year. But that's offense. I could see Bowlesy, because look, the one of the problems with Garrett Bowles, much like a lot of these receivers, it's not quite as quarterback dependent playing left tackle. But when you're blocking, Zach, as a blindside guy, it's not like the Broncos have had a southpaw quarterback since Tim Tebow. But when you're blocking for a constant carousel, it's hard to kind of get a feel for where guys are going to sit in the pocket. And then you add to that the madness of trying to predict where Russell Wilson's going to be 3 seconds into the snap. Good luck. But with Bo Nix, there's a few times in game one, especially early on in his first couple series, mainly the first series, but where he kind of spooked early, kind of bailed out earlier than he needed to. But that will be worked out of him, Zach, through repetitions. Long story short, I think the more time on task Bo Nix get, the more you're going to see him just winning from the pocket. So I wouldn't be surprised, Zach, if Bowlesy got a nod. But defense, there might even be a few cats too. Yeah,
I've been kind of racking my brain listening to, and I agree, by the way. And if we haven't said PS2, I think you did. That's an obvious one.
Yeah, as well. I started on offense. I was going to get to him.
That's probably the layup there, but I don't want to be too much of a homer. There's a lot of players on the defense that I like this year, including Baron Browning. Zach Allen could have a big year. I'll throw out one semi-realistic name because I think he's going to only get better, and that's Jaquan McMillian at nickelback. As a Pro Bowler, I know it might be a stretch, but Chris Harris Jr. was a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, whatever he was, and he was a nickelback. I think he is the next Chris Harris Jr., and he might have had, maybe except for Bo Nix and a couple other people, Chad, he might have had the best training camp of any Broncos player, and he's going to be phenomenal this season.
One of the things that has, I make a joke. It's a short list of guys, Broncos, who've been to a Pro Bowl, but it's not because there haven't been deserving guys. Look at Quinn Miners last year as a prime example of a snub because the Broncos were not, as a team, successful. You go back to Peyton Manning's first year here, out of the blue, guys who no one had ever heard of before 2012, Pro Bowls. You had Demaryius Thomas. People who follow the draft knew who Demaryius Thomas was, Zach, but and Broncos fans obviously knew who he was, especially on the heels of, he was a first-round pick, but on the heels of that Pittsburgh Steelers playoff game with Tebow. But I digress. You even had like Zane Beadles going to the Pro Bowl because you not only became a winning team, but your profile elevation in the NFL zeitgeist just skyrocketed. So all the Broncos need is, the Broncos are one of the classic winningest teams in NFL history. They just need to return. They just need to create a winning product on the field. And all of a sudden, these players going to, boom, be back in the zeitgeist. That's all that is needed. And I think we're on the right track here, Zach.
Yeah, very well said. And we're taking a trip down memory lane, and we have Graham saying, remember Jordan Sunshine, remember Jordan Taylor, not a Pro Bowler, but Manning helped him a lot. Of course, I do remember Jordan Taylor. I remember him most remember when the Isaiah McKenzie disaster was happening and they took him out and put Taylor on the field and they only had him have fair catches. They wouldn't even risk another fumble. They just had him there because of his sure hands. That was sunshine for you. That's my lasting memory.
You know, the only thing that has led me to wonder about Tim Patrick's outlook was how strongly Sean Payton re-emphasized that penalty on that, was it the first Broncos possession where he got and of course it's always the guy who retaliates, not the guy that does the frankly borderline, illegal thing. It's the guy who retaliates. But how much Sean Payton focused on that and iterated over and over again how much it disappointed him and how we can't have that and how it kills drives. I'm going, man, is Timmy P going to make it? But then you hear him talk about Tim Patrick outside of that and how he's performed, by the way, removed from whatever Sean Payton has said. And I don't worry so much about it. I think Tim Patrick's going to be okay. I don't think he's going to get cut. I mean, on the depth chart as it stands, I mean, if this was Tim Patrick making 7, 8, 9 million like he was on his old contract,
different story.
You could get out from a good chunk of that by not having him on your roster, that would have already happened. In fact, Zach, it did happen. They're like, hey, we're going to cut you unless you want to come to the table and renegotiate. And he took not much, if memory serves, Zach, not much more than the veteran minimum to stick around and prove he can get back on the horse, so to speak.
That penalty was no big deal. I mean, literally asked, I think it was Cortland Sutton who said he could have done a backflip for all we care. It was his first catch in 2 years. Let him have it. So, I agree with that too. And I think right now, Michael, if you had to make the 53, TP would be the wide receiver 4 or 5 at worst. I think Sean really wants to give him one chance and kind of mine what you can, because if you can get him back to pre-injury form, or something close to it, you have a big body, sure-handed possession threat down the middle, on the sideline, however you want to use him. He's just a good player to have on your team, on the field, and in the locker room.
We have got Taylor Christensen jumping in. Good to see you, big dog. Thank you for the super chat. He says, hey, guys, Javonte Williams will be a Pro Bowler if he stays healthy. That's a possibility. He's in a contract year. If you can somehow find a way to rekindle something approximating his rookie form, it's going to be possible in this offense with this quarterback, with this coach. He says, I got my PS2 throwback today. Dope. He says, also glad that Justin Simmons landed somewhere. What's your take on JJ? Is he talking about
McCarthy, I guess?
Oh, yeah. We haven't talked about that. Such a bummer. Such a bummer. People are like, oh, it looks like we dodged a bullet there. Well, it's like we didn't pass on him. So for what it's worth, it's not like we passed on JJ McCarthy. But just remember, but for the grace of God go I. So it's really a bummer to see it happen to him. Freak thing happens in the league. But to my knowledge, Zach, he wasn't it's not like he carried some long, worrisome injury jacket. It was just a freak thing. What are you going to do?
Exactly. Yeah, there was no guarantee he would have got hurt if the Broncos drafted him. I think he got hurt in the Vikings practice or game. So just, it's part of the NFL. It sucks. I hate it for him because I really liked McCarthy. I know you did as well, Chad, coming out of the draft. I don't know if that he was going to start anyway in Minnesota. They have Sam Darnold for that, but count your blessings, Broncos country, because if you want to know what cursed is, the Vikings, Teddy Bridgewater a few years ago, Kirk Cousins last year, and now JJ McCarthy. So God bless Bo Nix.
But hey, you know what? Here's his chance, Sam Darnold, to prove that, he's got something still left that he could deliver in the NFL. I have my serious doubts, but he's basically going to be unchallenged QB1 with a very, very good play caller and head coach in O'Connell. Yeah. Phil jumping in again. Says, hey, Vele went off the field during practice today. What's the update on him? Also, who will be out for the next game as of today? Zach, I can pull up and see what Payton said. Well, actually, I don't have Payton's quotes from today. Any update on that you know of, Zach, on Vele?
I don't think it's overly serious. I think it was a little precautionary. He walked off under his own power to the locker room just to get checked out. I haven't heard much. And I feel like, Chad, if it was bad news, we would have heard a little more about it by now. In terms of who's going to be out for the game, number one that comes to mind is Art Green, the second-year former undrafted free agent cornerback that few people in Broncos country have heard of, but he has a concussion. and he's not going to be playing this week. He'll play next week. I think Levi Wallace could be held out. He has that hamstring. Brandon Jones is back at practice, but you might not want to risk him coming off a hamstring. But Sean Payton mentioned that the 4 or 5 healthy players that didn't play against Indy will play more than likely against Green Bay, number 1 being Mr. Patrick Surtain II.
These now that there's only 3 preseason games, most teams are utilizing the second game as the third game used to be, kind of the dress rehearsal, which is another kind of tell, Zach, that Bo Nix is starting this one, right? Like,
yeah,
really, he just can't go out there and suck. But I honestly don't worry about him. You know, that's one of the things that was attractive, encouraging, whatever about Bo Nix was that really, really high floor. You know, you don't have to worry about him throwing you into a train wreck. He's just smart with the ball. He's poised. Mike McGlinchey today, I'm reading this article from James at MHH. Go give it a read, you guys, talking about Bo Nix, which I thought was interesting. And he used, in fact, I'll just read the quote real quick because it's kind of interesting. This is Mike McGlinchey, veteran right tackle, talking about Bo Nix. And he said, quote, "He's going to keep building on that first game and that confidence too. I said it the other day, he's got a very unique combination of humility and confidence that goes a long way for his position. And certainly as a rookie, he's stepping in here with a lot of pressure on himself and he's taken that in stride. And there's no fear of competition. There's no fear of getting out there and going for it. And that certainly has shown with the way he's progressed all camp," close quote. So I don't have any fear over it either, but he just needs to go out and have himself another game. Minimal negative plays in terms of turnovers and sacks. Had 0 of those last week. Came close on that first throw down the seam to Dulcich, but that was his big questionable, like, doof, like, come on, rookie, throw. And it wasn't a bad read, Zach. It's just that he threw it too late. Like he needed to throw it a couple of beats earlier. Not only would have been a completion, but Dulcich doesn't get a headache out of it and then pulled out of the game or whatever. But Bo Nix, I'm really looking forward to it. I think you can expect, wouldn't surprise me to see an announcement Monday or Tuesday. Bo Nix is our starting quarterback.
Yeah, I don't want to overreact, but I really like what McGlinchey said. That stood out to me was the blend of humility and confidence, and why that's important, the quarterback being the leader of your team. You don't want a quarterback that's too passive, that's too low-key, that's not vocal enough, that won't challenge his teammates. The Broncos have had a few, including last year. You wanted more fire out of Russell Wilson. But then you don't want a quarterback that's too much of an a-hole either, too arrogant, too cocky, too this, too that. You want, right down the middle, the moderate type of quarterback. And for a rookie, it's another indication, Chad, that he's so mature beyond his years. And the Broncos truly are in good hands for as long as Bo is under center.
Hey, Humble, good to see you, my friend, in Nigeria, in Africa. Hello, Kingdom greetings from Nigeria. Again, Broncos country. This is another classic example. It's not a geographic location. It's a state of being. It's very nice to see you. Appreciate you joining us, my friend. This is Greg Smith. Hey, if Zach Wilson wins backup, I'll have some hot sauce with my crow, Zach.
I will join you. We will feast on that crow together, Greg, because I'm a man of my word. I badmouthed Zach Wilson the last few months. I said it's going to be Bo and Stidham, and I know Stidham got kind of a raw deal in the Indy game, but Zach just looked like a more explosive quarterback, if that's a relevant term here, Chad, because the one thing that Sean Payton talked about, that he wants his quarterback to take chances, not be overly aggressive or be overly stupid, but he doesn't want every completion to be a check down. And that seems like that's Jarrett Stidham's game, unfortunately. Indeed.
Roy says, good evening, Chad. He meant to say Zach. Kind of nice to see Simmons has a new home. Yes, definitely. It is. It's good to see. Okay, let me grab this from Mike. I think it's interesting. He goes, Riley Moss, Damarri Mathis were mentioned during Joseph's presser today. On if he envisions having a starter or a rotation at cornerback. That's not really it. Oh, how have they performed in the first preseason game? It was the first question that Joseph was asked today. He said, quote, I thought both guys played with composure. They covered their guy and they tackled well. We had no mental issues with those two guys. It's an ongoing battle. That said, we need both guys anyway. So I'm cheering for both guys to improve every day, and our team needs them. So both guys are on this roster. I mean, their spot is not in danger. It's a matter of who's going to win cornerback 2. And one of the big threats for that job wasn't on the grass last week. Levi Wallace, Zach.
I didn't see that much composure from Damarri Mathis against the Colts. It seemed like every time I was looking up, he was surrendering a completion, but maybe the coach's tape says differently. You mentioned Levi, another competitor in this battle who had a tremendous game, according to the analytics, was Chris Abrams-Drain, the rookie cornerback. He allowed no catches on 19 defensive snaps. He had a 90.1 coverage rating, according to Pro Football Focus. That is spectacular. I'm not saying he's going to start, but he's going to be in that mix as well. But you nailed it, Chad. When he's healthy, it seemed like Levi Wallace had the inside track for cornerback 2.
Yeah, based on everything we're hearing, the Vele, just so you guys know, I'm seeing a few other comments. It's non-serious. There's not even you can't even Google Vele right now without and find anything on his injury. But I'll keep my ear to the floor on that one and let you guys know. Ryan Jones, good to see you on Facebook. Appreciate you. Okay, let me see where we're at. We're at 30 minutes. We're doing pretty good. But this is, oh my God, Phil, OMG, I just read that Jason Garrett was at practice today. Please tell me he's not getting a job with the Broncos, Zach.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't want the clapper anywhere near Bo Nix, anywhere near what the Broncos were trying to do. I understand why he was there. I mean, they worked, Jason Garrett and Sean Payton did, on the Cowboys or Giants staff together, one of the two teams together. So they're long old-time friends, but no, he's not going to be employed at Broncos Park, hopefully.
Yeah, they go back to their time together as both of them young future head coaches with the Dallas Cowboys. Well, actually, technically, that's not true. That's not true because Zach, 06 was Peyton's first year in New Orleans, and he went to New Orleans from the Dallas job. I'm pretty sure Jason Garrett, 07 is when he started with the Cowboys as offensive coordinator. That's really weird. I think it's just their shared well, let me see. Hold on. Let me check one last thing here on. I got to check.
I know they're friends for sure for a long time.
Definitely buddies, both former backup quarterbacks. Hold on. Yeah. No, that doesn't add up either. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's the Parcellian thing. No, Parcells last year was 06 in Dallas. So I think it's just kind of the fraternity aspect of, they're not only their profession, Zach, as coaches, but their roots with the Cowboys. And then, of course, the fact that they both are former NFL backup Qs.
Well, all I know is Garrett wasn't that great of a head coach, and he's even worse on television, Chad. I mean, it's literally a cringe fest watching him on the pregame coverage, but I digress.
Yeah, I forget, though, how long he had much more staying power as an NFL backup, for what it's worth, than Sean Payton did, Jason Garrett. But yeah, I don't think it's much to worry about, Phil. I mean, think about it. Where are you going to put him? They've got that offensive coaching staff is like loaded for bear on this hunt. And especially once you brought in Pete Carmichael, like, where are you going to put him? Just add him as another senior advisor? I mean, how many senior advisors do you need? At a certain point, too many cooks ruin the broth. And all the guys currently in Sean Payton's little kitchen, so to speak, cooking up some Broncos gumbo, whatever you want to call it, they're all guys he has worked with, that have worked for him and have had a lot of success with him. Bringing in Garrett where they have no actual history working together, I don't see that as even a slim possibility, Phil. But it is the NFL, so nothing would completely shock me.
I just solved the overlap. This is the this is the connection here. So Garrett was a quarterback with the Giants from 2000 to 2003, which overlapped with then Giants offensive coordinator Sean Payton, who worked there from 2000 to 2002. So player and a coach, but the connection remains nonetheless.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, guys. This is your kind of 2-minute warning for your comment. Did we miss you, Jasmine? Hold on. Let me make sure. I hope we didn't miss you. I thought we got you earlier. Let me double check. Yeah. Let me double check. Oh. She did drop another one that I missed.
Thank you, Jasmine.
And thank you for reminding us, Jasmine. Right now, where we don't have Scott, sometimes things we're never going to miss it completely, but in a timely manner. Sometimes we don't jump on it as quickly as we would prefer. So thank you for your patience and thank you for your support and letting us know. She says, though, with her second super chat of the night, because she's thebomb.com.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Do you all think the Broncos will make more moves on offense? And then what positions should we go out and get? More moves on offense. Honestly, I really don't think that they will. Like, I think they have a pretty good, first of all, their O-line is solid. It's set. Backups, maybe I could see them bringing in like some other backup O-lineman, but Demontre Jacobs, dude, that guy played like a freaking animal in game one. Like he just rocketed to number one threat to win swing tackle, like over Matt Pert, over Alex Palczewski. Alpal over Alpal. So I don't know. I don't honestly see some big glaring thing because Zach, you did a reset at quarterback. Your first round pick is going to be your guy. Okay. At wide receiver, you've got two veterans at the top of the depth chart in Sutton and Patrick. You got a young Pro Bowl returner that you're trying to assert more into the offense to give you some juice this year. And you're going to see that. I mean, that touchdown throw in a shortened field situation in the red zone on the goal line, basically Bo Nix to Marvin Mims, like, you're going to see a lot of that kind of stuff because you now have a quarterback who can facilitate, like a point guard, the plays that Sean Payton wants to. I mean, dude, Russell Wilson for Sean Payton was like being blind, deaf, and dumb out on the field relative to what he's used to having in terms of a true extension. He's sharing a brain with the guy under center, and they have that again with Bo Nix. So I think skill position wise, I don't know, tight end, maybe like a blocking tight end. They don't have, unless they're going to keep like Nate Atkins, but he still leaves a lot to be desired. I don't see them keeping a roster spot just for Nate Atkins. I think I see him as another year on the practice squad. Long-winded way of saying, Jasmine, I don't see it on offense. But Zach, what positions should the Broncos, what are still some vulnerabilities the Broncos could go out and add some guys?
I think you covered it pretty well. I mean, I was going to say a backup offensive line and maybe the interior, but even then you had Alex Forsythe taking snaps at guard instead of center against the Colts, and they seem to be pretty impressed with him there. So this is one of the situations, Jasmine, not to give a non-flashy answer or a vague answer, but I'd rather the guys already on the team in the system get the experience and get the reps over bringing in some outside free agent who's only going to be here for probably a season, if not less. If anything, at the positions that Chad and I have talked about, running back, receiver, quarterback, maybe even tight end, you're going to have to do more subtracting than addition.
True. Jasmine, much love. Thank you so much. Clayton, good to see you, big dog. Yeah, smash the like button, guys. Very important to us. Please do so. Clayton says, bow time, my guys. I truly think he's going to shine. We just got a taste. Absolutely 100. Love it. Yes, indeed. That's just scratching the surface. Spider-Man checking in. What's up, Peter Parker? With great power comes great responsibility. We know this. I mean, through your teaching, through the teachings of your Uncle Ben, we've all learned this true maxim of life. But he says here, Zach, Peter Parker, Frank Crum has a long way to go. Anyone else notice that? For sure. He'll be lucky, Zach, unless he just has this miraculous turnaround. He'll be lucky to even land on the practice squad. Like, he looked like he don't belong. He's got the size. Like, you see him walking out the tunnel, you're going, yeah, that dude looks like a beast. I mean, he looks like Mike McGlinchey. But then you see him play and you're like, ooh, yikes. Needs a little more time to ripen on the vine. Problem is, college is out, scholarship's over, and you got to sing for your supper in the NFL. So far, he's too out of tune. Needs to work on that technique. Go find a vocal teacher. They'll help you.
Looks like Tarzan plays like Jane, something like that. That's the Frank Crum experience, Chad.
Yep.
I mean, that's what you get, though, with an undrafted rookie offensive lineman. It's a tough transition to the NFL. Not everyone can make it. If one of Pert, Alpal, and Crum can qualify for the 53, that would be a resounding success.
Patrick, will the return game be more impactful than people, I think, what he means to say, what people think in the NFL this season? Yeah, I do. That's the whole point. I think that's what he's asking, Zach. But I think that's the whole point of the NFL rule changes. And the Broncos stand to be one of the teams that I think benefit the most from that, even if it doesn't end up being Marvin Mims that's used as much this year because Sean Payton wants to use him more and preserve him for offense. I mean, did you guys see Jalen Virgil ripped off some nice returns in that? So I'm stoked to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, they also have one of the best special teams minds in NFL history, and Michael Westhoff. And Sean Payton also has a little bit of a tricky special teams background as well. So, yeah, it should help them. And I did like also seeing Jaleel take a couple kick returns. That's an added wrinkle I want to see deployed in the regular season.
Also, probably Blake, right? Blake Watson probably
Yeah.
had some upside there. Brandon Williams, bro, appreciate your support and how you contribute to the conversation on Facebook just about every single stream. So thank you, buddy. He wants to know, Zach, who do you all think will be Alex Singleton's running mate? This is a really interesting question. I mean, it's been one of the bigger questions we've been speculating on since they decided not to bring back Josie Jewell. What say you, Zach?
There's really only two options. That would be Cody Barton or Jonas Griffith. They have Bailey, the drafted rookie. He has a little bit of a ways to go. I mean, they signed Barton for a reason. He seems like he's another Alex Singleton in the making. I wouldn't prefer to have two of the same player, kind of like they were doing with Jewell and Singleton for a few years. But Jonas could push, though. He has more athleticism. He's more of a sideline player. He's healthy now. He's motivated. So I think my heart tells me, my heart wants Jonas Griffith, but my brain is telling me Cody Barton.
Exactly. I think, and it's not just, Zach, the fact that they threw him a few bucks this offseason. I think his experience as a starter in the league, that spot's earmarked for him. But you're going to see some Jonas Griffith. Jonas Griffith will have a spot on the roster. It's like unfortunately with those guys and MHH guys have talked a lot about this on the pods and written about it too. But so far what we saw in one game, Zach, it's only one game, but it's like pick your poison. Cody Barton, you like having him on a passing down. Jonas Griffith, not so much. Seeing running backs, get past him. Jonas Griffith, much more consistent in game one, filling the run than Cody Barton. And so it's like, hey, can you figure out how to amalgamate them into one player? Unfortunately, no. So you'll probably see them both on the field quite a lot.
One day the Broncos will have a homegrown, true 3-down elite inside linebacker that can cover and rush the passer and stop the run. One
Smoke Dog. Someday Smoke Dog's true successor will emerge, Zach.
That's right.
Smoke Dog Wilson. Guys, before I forget, Mike List has a new book out. He sent it to us, okay? On Elway, called The Elway Years, published by Triumph Books. Very kind to send it to us. We didn't ask for anything other than, hey, just send us the copy and we'll talk about it. Haven't read it yet. Maybe we'll get Broncos Book Report or what was it? Broncos Book Club? That's what it was.
Wow,
back rolling.
Back.
But an interesting. This is one of the guys most qualified to write about John Elway. I mean, he was John Elway's. No offense. I don't say that what I'm about to say, as you guys know, this is not in any way, I don't mean this demeaningly, but he was John Elway's mouthpiece for the entirety of Elway's front office tenure in Denver. So if anybody knows how to write about this cat, and it's not just his playing years, he talks about, there's a lot in here, of course, about his time in the front office. So I'm really looking forward to this, but check out Mike Kliss's new book, The Elway Years, published by Triumph Books. We're stoked to get it, etc. All right, Brandon, you're the man. Appreciate you, big dog. Zach, let's grab this one real quick, and then we'll do some matters of business. Oh, Josh Packard, too. What's up, Josh? Phil, does Samaje Perine make the team? Very interesting question. I don't think he does, but what do you think?
I was calling for his release before that preseason game, well before. I just, he's making too much money. I get that he's good in pass pro and out of the backfield, but he did have that fumble against the Colts. So it's like you have one job and you can't even do that one job correctly. They drafted Estime. Javonte's healthy. You brought in Blake Watson. Jaleel's looked amazing this summer. I'd rather have the money than have Samaje Perine on this team, point blank.
Yeah, writing's on the wall. But then again, Zach, I'll say this. If he's got anything going for him, even though his momentum is in the toilet right now, it's that he just makes for a real handy dude to have around on third down because he can do anything that you need him to do. You want to run a draw, surprised everybody on third down. It's 3rd and 7. You're in the gun. He's standing next to you. Hut, draw, you suck him in and then it gets handed off and off he goes. He can do that for you on third down. He can catch a pass. Unlike that Indy unfortunate situation where it bobbled it, he's traditionally been a good pass catcher out of the backfield, and he's huge. He's jacked, and he's got the technique, Zach, to pass block. That's his saving grace right now. Were it not for that comforting utility that he offers to Sean Payton and Pete Carmichael and Joe Lombardi, I tell you right now, he'd already be gone, because there has been some stud performances this summer from this young collection of running backs, Zach.
Well, here's my thing. We'll get to Josh in a second, Chad. I'm going to pose a non-hypothetical question to you and everybody else. If you keep P. Ryan, that means you're sacrificing somebody else. So is it worth keeping P. Ryan and cutting Javonte or cutting Jaleel or cutting Estime or cutting Blake Watson? The answer to me, my opinion, is no. 4 ways over. I'd rather have those other running backs than have a $3+ million Samaje P. Ryan. That's just me, though.
Indeed, Mike says, if Estime and Watson keep playing good, P. Ryan is gone. Mike could be, as my friend B.A. would say. Mike could be. Josh Packer says, finally caught you guys live. Love the show. Hey, welcome back, big dog. Will our safeties be healthy, Zach, by the start of the season? So in case you missed it, Brandon Jones suffered an early hammy, I want to say it was, the first week or so of camp. What are your thoughts for him?
Yeah, I mean, those can linger, but the Broncos have been smart keeping him on the sideline, letting it heal naturally. I think today he was participating at least on a limited basis. He's not fully back yet, but he's rounding the corner. I don't know that he'll play Sunday, but he should be good to go for week 1. And the other safeties, Chad, except for DTY, are healthy. PJ Locke and JL Skinner, etc.
KB, what's up, brother? KB had an article today, guys. Go read it. Kenneth Booker breaking down the 3 upgrades. The Broncos' new ownership. I still say it's new ownership, right? We had Mr. B for decades. So the Walton Penners, they got a long way to go till they're not the new owners. So the new owners, some massive stadium upgrades, invested big time. Go read Kenny's article, milehighhuddle.com. But he wants to know, what do you think of the Broncos getting decent kick returns, even a 40+ yard returner? Well, we saw it. We saw flashes of it in that game, and we had it last year. Marvin Mims was the best returner in the NFL as a rookie. Now, are they going to use him that much this time around? Maybe not. But these new rules, it plays well to what the Broncos have personnel-wise. And you think, Zach, there was that, I want to say it was Jalen Virgil. If it wasn't quite crossing the 50, it was damn close. Set the Broncos up for a score and with Bo Nix, those are opportunities that are not going to be squandered. That's exciting. Broncos, I'm telling you guys, Broncos are going to be much more a force to be reckoned with this year than the national perspective can even reckon with. And that's okay, Zach. Let them sleep.
That's right. Let them hate, let them sleep, let them do whatever, because the Broncos will show them. Yeah, obviously, Kenny, I would love to have big kick returns. I want to see if Marvin Mims can repeat that Pro Bowl type outing. But speaking of useless players, can we just give up on Tremont Smith? He's just taking up a spot for no reason, Chad. He's listed as a cornerback. He never plays corner. When he did, he was outright terrible. And as a kick returner, are you going to keep him over Mims and McLaughlin, Watson, etc.? I just think that's an easy cut, but he's Sean Payton's boy. Just a random rant. Sorry about that.
No, not at all. And by the way, I almost forgot, those interested in the Elway years, Mike Kliss through Triumph Books. I'm dropping the link right now in the chat. You want to check that out. But we got a few messages for you guys, and then we're out of here. So this is really your last call for any questions or supers.
Can't believe it's been 49 minutes going on 50. You guys make it incredible each and every night. If you haven't done so yet, please follow us on Twitter at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account on Twitter at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and don't forget about Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out mhhmerch.com. Get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at mile_high_huddle. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some of that merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, please, please Subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
Guys, seriously though, we need you to like the video. It takes you half a second. Just do it real fast. Facebook, YouTube, just do it really fast. Okay? It helps us out so much this time of year. You got every swing and you know what trying to live stream about the Broncos nowadays. Like when Zach and I first started doing this as a live stream, Zach, in the beginning of the 2019 season, the Vic Fangio debut, we were it as far as live stream. You had Perda, the man. You had Brandon Perda, and that's good. Mostly just doing his video thing, not so much live stream. Live streamed here and there, but it wasn't like a regular thing. Memory serves back then. But either way, it was us. That's it. Now everybody, all of our digital competitors in the writing sphere, all the www competitors out there, and podcasters, now their whole model is to compete with this. So we need the likes, guys. We need the likes. We need the comments. We need the shares. You know, we have the little rundown at the end of every show. Zach's got it memorized. Like he could read that to you. It's rote. Like it's locked in his brain because we've said it so many times. Just like this is locked in my brain, right, Zach? Like Broncos country, not a geographic location. Like I will never forget that. I'll never forget. We are your football priests, all that stuff. But we need you guys. We need you to answer that bell. And not just tonight, but our show, all the MHH shows, when you see it, even if you're not there live and you're catching it after, make sure you leave a like and a comment.
Right.
That tells the algo bots, all right, on YouTube, on Facebook, on the socials. They go, oh, fans care about this. We're going to put it in front of other fans. All right, so end of sermon. But, guys, much love. We really appreciate if you do that for us. It was great. We saw Sunday after the game gut reaction, like over 500 likes on YouTube. That's really good. That's what we need every episode, y'all.
What does the MHH OG say? Chris Hernandez, Chad, click those little thumbs up. We need that from every single person. Definitely appreciate it.
That's right. Love you guys. Okay. Hey, good to see you, Addison. Hope you're doing well, big dog. Normally we see you on the YouTube, over on the Facebook today. Okay. Cool. Ronk. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah. Ronk has one, though, that we haven't covered. Hold on. I got to grab this real fast. It wouldn't be Scott would be like doing this to me. Come on, Chad. Tisk. Ronk, great show tonight. Chad and Zach on the MHH podcast. Go Broncos. Love you, big dog. A mile high salute. Special shout out to the great Super Chat superstars and supporters tonight, helping us keep the lights on like the Ronk. Taylor, we're going to go in reverse order here. Taylor, appreciate you, buddy. Justin, George, Phil, Jasmine, throwing down twice tonight. Love you. The GLP, the Duchess, Michaela Parker. Love you. James Moss. What's up, buddy? And not to be confused. Well, I wonder. There's the other James Moss. It's just spelled different, right? Mm-hmm. Sam Bam, brother. Love you. Paul Jackson, welcome back to the manger, buddy. Welcome back to the campfire. We've kept it blazing for you while you've been wandering the universe. It's good to see you. And then we got the Papa Bear. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Zach and I will be back in the house Sunday night for the gut reaction. Isn't it Sunday? It's a Sunday night kick, right? It's an evening kick, if memory
6 o'clock Mountain.
Yeah, so we'll be going live at the Final Gun. So that's probably going to be something like around a little after 9-ish local time. So we'll be here for the gut reaction. Can't wait to see you guys then.
We got a last-minute super from Robert Otteson, $5. Thank you so much, Robert. He says, we love you guys. Keep up the good work. We also got big stars from Justin Massey. We appreciate you, Justin. Thank you so much.
Yeah, buddy.
We will pick up the conversation on Sunday evening in the gut reaction. Have a great start to your weekend. We'll see you then. Take care, and as always, go Broncos.